In January 2013, French forces began their intervention in Mali. The country's troops were struggling to stop advancing Tuareg rebels, trying to establish a new homeland in the country's north. The conflict opened the door to other, more extreme groups hoping to bring down Mali's government. Radical Islamists brought a reign of terror and Sharia law to the region. At that point, the north of the country had fallen into rebel control. Mali's former colonial master, France, was the first to intervene. What's happening in northern Mali isn't just a challenge for the country's authorities. It's a threat to West Africa, to northern Africa. It's also a risk to the whole international community. Nigeria has also requested military support to help drive out the extremist group Boko Haram. The group has claimed responsibility for attacks and mass kidnappings in the country's north, including a suicide bombing in November that killed almost 50 children.
Boko Haram is an attempt by people living in the poorest part of Nigeria to, well, in their case, to destroy the Nigerian state. But I would say that the basic issue is the type of state or the type of political rule that you're going to have after the failure of so many nationalist governments.
This video shows Boko Haram militants mocking the Nigerian government for failing to protect its own people. In April, the group kidnapped more than 200 schoolgirls from their classrooms. Some of the girls were reportedly sold into marriages with the militants. Nigerian soldiers are fighting Boko Haram in the country's north, but the group continues to capture new territory.
It's possible that we might see some of these movements actually creating political entities that are new, which is really what's happening in Syria and Iraq, and something similar to that could happen in Africa. Or it's possible that one of these groups could actually take over some sort of existing state, which I suppose, I mean, it could happen in Somalia.
Somalia is a failed state. Lawlessness has been rife here since the early 90s. That has made it a breeding ground for the Al-Shabaab militia. They want an Islamist state on the Horn of Africa. In October, African Union soldiers helped the Somali army to retake the port of Barawi. It was one successful battle in the fight against the terrorists, but there's no end in sight to the conflict.